Hello, my name is Mr. Buchanan and I'm in charge of the options process at Aspire. I'm just creating a short video just to explain the entire process that we're going to use to help your child select the correct options for when they start studying in year 10. So I've created this short PowerPoint. So the first thing is just to explain what each child will study. So each child will study GCSE English language, English literature, maths and combined science as a minimum. And they will obviously be assessed at the end of year 11. Students will also study PE, PSHE and RE. These aren't examined and these are just to enrich the curriculum as well as the options that the students will study. The students will then select 3 further subjects from 3 different option blocks. So we've got 3 option blocks, option A, option B and option C. And one of these subjects that they choose must be either geography, history, separate science or French. So the options process is basically going to look through each of these 3 options and select which subject you want as first preference, second preference in option A, first preference, second preference in option B, first preference, second preference in option C. Now, separate science is a bit different, so I'm just going to explain that in a couple of slides. So what support is available to make the correct decision? So each subject lead has created some information in an ebook, which is available on our website. On that, if you go to the home page and you click on the Year 9 options button, you'll find the ebook, you'll find the forms to fill in, you'll find this PowerPoint, you'll find this Loom video, all of which is to help you make the correct decision for your child. So you will be sent a text and a letter with a link to the online options form. And there are different options form, and this is to do with separate science, which I'll explain in a minute. Now, this first process is just a draft process. And the reason for it being a draft process is we need to just garner the numbers for each subject. We're not entirely sure how many people want to choose separate science, choose geography, choose history. So this process isn't the final options process. This is just the first draft process. Now, in years before, there have been several draft processes which have had to take place before we were able to get the correct subjects in the correct option blocks. Now, we've been living in unusual times in bubble scenarios, and every child has been in set 1, for example, has been in set 1 for every single subject. Now, of course, when we go back to normal, which hopefully will be in September, your child will be if he was in set 1, would be in set 1 for different subjects. He might be in set 1 for science and set 2 for maths, for example. So if your child is ordinarily would be in set 1 for science, then they are automatically entered to do separate science in option C. Historically, we always have the brightest scientists studying separate science in option C. It's the higher tier option. And you're going to be sent a different link via text and letter, which will have separate science automatically selected for option C. So you can only make a selection in option A and option B, but you can choose whatever subject you wish in option A and option B. Okay, I'm just going to show you the draft options forms then. So these options forms need to be completed by 12 p.m. on Tuesday, the 23rd of February. So the options forms look like this. So the options form for everybody, except set 1 scientists, will look like this. So you get, obviously, fill in the student's name. Then you have the option to look over what subjects are in each block, and you can make a decision. So, for example, digital technology is in 2 blocks, health and fitness is in 2 blocks, so you don't need to pick it in option A. There are other options available. You then will need to select your first preference for option A. So whatever the subject in option A block which you really want to study the most, so it might be geography. So you'd select geography. You then need to select your second preference subject. So if geography isn't available when it should be, but just say there's a really large number of students who want to do geography, and we just need to know what your second preference will be. So you might think, right, for a second preference, I think I'd want to choose health and fitness in that block. Okay. Option B. So then you've got a selection here in option B, and you might decide that your first preference is hospitality and catering. Select hospitality and catering. And again, hospitality and catering may be oversubscribed, so then you then have to say, well, what's your second preference, just in case hospitality and catering isn't available. So you might select arts, for example. Then for option C, so this is for the vast majority of year 9. So in option C, you won't be able to select the separate science option. That will just be for the top set scientists, and I'll show you their form in a second. So you might decide that I want to do performing arts is my first choice. I really want to study performing arts. If performing arts isn't available, business interests me as well. Okay, and you submit the form, click submit the form. The other form available is for the set 1 scientists. Okay, so they can select any subject within option A or option B. So click there to continue. Because separate science is a subject which, one of the subjects which needs to be studied at least, then it doesn't matter which of these subjects you study in option A or option B. So you've got free reign. So you might decide you want to do digital technology, just looking at computers. And you also might decide that you want to do, as a second preference, if digital technology isn't available, you might do French. And then, of course, here you might decide that you want to do art. It's your first choice in option B. You really want to do art. If it's not available, I'd be quite happy to do history. And you can see that there is no option C, the top set separate scientists, because you've already been selected for separate science. And again, you can't select the separate science option, which is open to all students in option B, because you're already doing it in option C. And you don't need to be in top set to do separate science, but this is just the option for students who aren't in the top set. Okay. So lastly then, so the form needs to be completed by 12 p.m. on Tuesday, the 23rd of February. If you have any questions, then I'm available to be contacted. So you can contact me either via school, via the main office, or by email if you've got any questions about the process. We really suggest you think hard about what options that you and your child would like to select. Every subject has an exam. Every subject has a large amount of written work. So you may be used to doing PE lessons, but health and fitness requires coursework. There's an exam in health and fitness. Other subjects like catering, there's written work, there's coursework. It's not just cooking all the time. So there's no subject where there's just all practical. There will be written work and everything. Okay. So thank you very much. Let's get back here. And if you've got any questions, contact me via email.